This incident where dude was putting his hands on mama, and son sees it and decides to let dude have it. And look, I'm not really interested in if he should have or he shouldn't have shot him, or did mom tell him to do it, or these single black mothers, or these Democrat-ran cities are safe havens for these thugs, or where was the father, or none of that other stuff that I've been hearing. Because I want to talk mentality. Right, and I've been real good at not returning to my own vomit by not talking about these black power people. Spent many years doing that. And I haven't been perfect, but I have been good at not talking about the fake black power stuff. To the ones of you who may be fairly new to the channel and you don't know me like that, yes, the black power stuff is trash. The folks who knew me for a long time, they been knew that that's where I'm at with it. But mentality. Like when it comes to this silly notion of how there should be a closing of the wealth gap between blacks and whites. Say it again. It's silly to me. Now, the reasons that there have been no closing or narrowing of the people's perceived gap has little to nothing to do with the government. Government stopping that process is a very minute and minuscule factor. But the mentality that I'm going to talk about today is the primary reason that a closing of a wealth gap will never, ever, 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 ever happen. The incident with the submarine. A handful of folks died on that thing. And I listened to more than a few people give their take on it. News outlets, panel discussions, different people, places, and things is what I was listening to. And it was so typical. It was so typical coming from that particular type of a black person. Very typical. And I'm going to put it in the description box because y'all not going to believe me. As a matter of fact, I'm going to call it, y'all think I'm lying. It'll be timestamped. Now this lady said, but our ancestors was, she started talking about how our ancestors was thrown overboard and had the bottom of the ocean be their final resting place. And she did that to justify, or I guess legitimize, all of the ill stuff that she said about them people who died. And just like with the submarine, the shooting incident, people just conjured up some white people out of nowhere, pulled them out of a magic hat or just wished them onto the scene when they had nothing to do with it. Well, if she was a white woman, or, well, if that was a white man, or if that was a white teenager who shot him, it would have been this, that, and the third. Just conjured them up out of thin air and placed them on the scene of the incident. The submarine lady went out and found her some white people that harmed black people and placed them right there in the ocean. As a matter of fact, let me play some seconds of that. And it'll be in the description box, like I said. And you can go over there, you can hear more of it, get the context of whatever you may be looking for.
Too much. Why you had to send 5 people down there? Because y'all were planning to do more.
And you see how cramped it was?
I saw that. Oh,
like you're like sitting on top of each other.
I don't like being that close to people. No, ma'am. So they were going to do more than just make it a tour thing. They were like, oh, it's going to be a tour so everybody can come down there. Everybody, first of all, everybody cannot afford that daggone fare for that. See, y'all, they were lying to us, and they just got busted. Because you just can't go down there. Why just send a damn Apple phone down there if that's what you wanted to do, to show pictures and stuff? Like you said, we already got tons of pictures. We know the damn shit went down there. You're not going to find no bodies. Like, what? So, do I feel sad that they died? I mean, I feel some sympathy that they died, but anything with water and boats, bitch, my goddamn race of people that I came from, we died, hundreds and thousands of us died. You think I care about 5 motherfucking millionaires that died because they wanted to be greedy in the future? Because they sent a goddamn iPhone down there and been done with it. My people didn't have no time for that. They didn't have no choices. Bitch. They didn't, some of them didn't even make the cruise. They filled those ships up with so many people. Even half of the people that came across did not make it.
So to make sure that our relationship with white people is still secure and steady, she went out and found some slaves and sunk them to the bottom of the ocean right there next to that submarine, or what was left of it. The kind of people I'm talking about in this commentary, And the people in the clip I just played, I don't see them as Black Power people, but only because I don't know them like that. But I did hear that the mentality was there. The same Black Power people mentality that I don't talked about for years, it was present. Now, the kind of people I'm talking about in this commentary, to determine what is right, what is wrong, what is fair, what is unjust, what is wealthy, and what is poor. White people are the barometer that determines those things for them. The incident at the fast food joint couldn't even be talked about without them bringing white people in there to set the standard.
What you gonna do?
And that's one of the reasons why the notion of this closing of the wealth gap is silly. That mindset is what makes the government a minor and minuscule factor in the wealth gap thing. You see, when white people are the standard, all the government would have to do is just make sure that white people keep having more. Just like this experiment where this little girl is about to cry because she sees her mother is holding another baby.
Both of our toddlers are actively showing resentment toward our doll.
You don't want the baby?
The doll experiment. We all know about this, where the kids chose the white doll.
Qual è buona?
Lei.
Perché è buona?
So yeah, let's get to it.
Black Power people think that these kids chose wrong. It's if they themselves don't think the same way as the kids that chose the white doll. What's good, what's bad, what's pretty, what's ugly, what is wealth, what is rich, what is poor, all of those standards Black Power people get from looking at white people and what white people have.
That don't make no sense.
There will be no closing of a wealth gap as long as your standards come from elsewhere. All they would have to do is just keep moving the goalpost. Other experiments where they'll use animals. They use different animals for this kind of stuff, right? They'll have two animals, have these animals perform tasks, then give them a reward for completing the task. But when one animal notices that the other one is being rewarded with something different than what it was getting, it gets upset and jealous. It will even reject what the treat was. Whatever that treat was, it was just enjoying a minute ago, they will reject it. All of a sudden.
Hey Lorelai, out of all these girls, who is the most beautiful?
This one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one.
There's no one that's the most beautiful?
They're all beautiful.
Oh, that's so nice. Even the hedgehog?
Yes. Even the Cinderella.
Uh-huh.
Even the Dee. Even the
Tiana?
only one there.